back to the Marvel Movie Minute, a daily podcast in which we smash apart the films of the Marvel Cinematic Universe into 1-minute chunks so we can analyze them in scrupulous detail. I'm Kyle Olson from the Road to Infinity podcast.
Hey, and I'm Rob Cabasco, and I am not a professional tough guy, nor have I wetted my pants while conscious. Emphasis on wetted and conscious.
Sure.
Because we've
all had some nights.
I don't want to get into it.
And yet,
I have a condition.
You brought it up here in the
but
opening of the
because professional tough guy is such a great line, right?
Yeah.
Well, I'm not a professional tough guy, but people who are, they shouldn't wet their pants. If they do, something's afoot. Which brings us to minute 31.
Tough guy. I don't know. So it's all about movement in this here of minute 31 of Louis Leterrier's 2008 Incredible Hulk movie. We finish up the last of minute 30. We see the truck. I like this. I love these transitions like this.
Right.
So it's nice that the truck is driving, and then we immediately cut to the plane flying.
Very nice. Landing. Well, the truck is moving on and the plane is landing.
Landing
There's
back
motion.
at the Fort Johnson, which is actually a Canadian Air Force base. And we quickly cut from that to a little bit of a scene from The West Wing. We get a little bit of Sorkin walk and talk, right?
That's right. It's a walk and talk.
As soon as I saw this, I was like, oh, somebody's been watching The West Wing.
I have the note in there.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Okay, so I love that the camera starts behind Ross and Blonsky.
Yep.
Now, one of the things, though, that is, well, it's not surprising. It's surprising depending on some actors. Mm-hmm. We won't name any of those actors that are very cognizant of their height. Mm-hmm. But the first thing you get from this shot is...
Though it might be an impossible mission for us to not mention their names.
Oh, my God, you went there.
I know what you're talking about. I'm saying...
That's exactly what I was going for. Okay. The one thing you see from this shot is, okay, so here's Blonsky and Ross, and they're we've gone from the plane landing. They're now in some military installation.
And you find out that William Hurt is very tall.
Okay.
And Tim Roth is not very tall.
I mean, by 12 inches, they're different.
Yes, it's like top of his head to the top of his shoulder.
Yes!
Yeah.
This is so clear. And what I actually think this is neat is it's giving you an understanding of the Blonsky character, where he feels he has a weakness, and why he is open and eager to be more.
So this is interesting because as we're seeing, this is probably I would expect this is their natural heights, like they're going through. Later on, we're going to see a scene like this where they're not using their natural heights, and it's coming up in the next couple minutes.
Oh,
yeah. So I didn't even think about that when I was looking at this one, but I noticed it that they do an opposite trick later on in the next couple of minutes.
Oh, but see, I love this because it's planting the seed for which we're going to continue to see.
Right.
There is a seed being planted in M.L. Blonsky's character that you see why he's after what he's after.
Yes.
So, cool.
So, so that it's a long hallway. So basically what we're talking about is from The West Wing. So The West Wing came out in, I think it was started in 99. Right. And so it would have probably finished up its run about this point. So it's probably coming to an end.
Oh, so this was maybe a little homage.
Maybe, yeah. I would say it was definitely in the public consciousness.
Right.
So I would say that they probably definitely thought about Tommy Schlamme and his and long lenses and stuff. So a lot of them walking, talking, and doing that. So it adds nice kinetic, movement to a lot of exposition.
Well, and it really lets you focus on the dialogue between two characters.
Yes.
So it's a nice way visually to really focus on what is being said.
Yeah, and this is pretty much the second half of the scene that was started with these guys in Bruce's apartment.
Oh, right.
Because that was a lot of Blonsky talking to, and Blonsky is still sort of doing this. I think this is the beginning of Ross is kind of playing a bit of a con game here. I think he is really manipulating Blonsky here. I think it started back there, and I think it's continuing on here because Blonsky is still going at him full bore with all this stuff. It's a nice chunk of text. I wrote down all of it from the subtitles. I've run into bad situations in crap missions before. I've seen good men go down purely because someone didn't know what we were walking into, which is a jab. I mean, in terms of this thing, that's because
that's exactly what you did to us.
You didn't tell us what
you put us in a situation we were not prepared for.
Right. I moved on to the next one because that's what we do, right? I mean, that's the job. But this is my favorite line of the movie so far. This is a whole new level of weird.
Now, okay, what a weird thing to say.
Yeah, right?
Because you would think at this point these guys would take the profanity filter off.
Yeah.
And go, hey, this is a whole new level of blah, blah, blah,
yeah,
blah, blah.
Say, this was quite a foobar situation.
Yeah, I mean, this is right. Like
the military are the high practitioners of swearing. They have whole new languages.
When he said this, it just made me laugh. Like, is there some reference in here to something? Because a whole new level of weird just sounds silly coming out of you. I don't know. That was kind of funny.
And so then he continues on, I don't feel inclined to step away from it. So if you're looking to take another crack at him, I want in. And with respect, you should be looking for a team that's prepped and ready to fight. Because if that thing shows up again, you're going to have a lot of professional tough guys pissing in their pants. Sir. And he delivers that so well too. I was thinking, this is why you hire Tim Roth, because you give him here's a big chunk of text, go for it, and he just bang 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 delivers.
And he absolutely this is not this is not Quentin Tarantino level, right? But I got to tell you though, he clearly is loving this scene because you can see that he's eating it up, and that's a great line because professional tough guys probably shouldn't wet their pants, right? Sir. But Ross's look when you see his face during this conversation is, I like what I'm hearing.
Right, but at the same time, I'm giving you nothing.
Oh yeah,
he's not. I mean, you can't tell if any of the stuff that Blonsky is saying is landing with him. Right. Or is making him mad, or making him all right, this is what I want to. It's he's doing two things at once.
It's sinister, and also, no.
Yeah, and that is the mark of a good actor too, where they can just cut to the reaction shot of him, and something is going on behind his eyes.
Absolutely. Yeah. Oh, that happens in this scene totally.
Yeah, especially when you don't get the big juicy dialogue to chew on, you really have to you have to do your work in the reaction shots.
Exactly.
So then we moved back, and now we find that Bruce has made his way to Mexico. So he is in Chiapas.
Chiapas.
I say my Spanish accent is
no, I'm neither.
Awful.
I do know that this is a border town. This is the border state of Guatemala.
Oh,
of
okay.
Mexico.
So he's just over. Yeah.
He's literally just over the border.
Google Maps, he's gone about 250 miles north, because we don't know approximately where in Guatemala he is, but that's why I say it. So it's around there. So here's what's interesting about this. Just as he approaches, the guy, our favorite, our hero, the saint, the guy who picked him up, didn't let him keep the blanket. What a jerk move! Brings him to town. Obviously, okay, he didn't give him a shirt or a hat or shoes or socks. Okay, fine. You did your good deed. You took him to town. You couldn't let him keep the blanket. Come on.
Can I turn your skepticism into destitution? What if he did let him keep the blanket? What if he gave him some shoes, and the tough guys in Chiapas roughed him up and took those things?
So there's a deleted scene of another group of tough guys, like there were
tough
in
guys
Brazil.
In Chiapas, just like the tough guys in Brazil.
Wow!
And they were like, "No, gringo, the blanket is ours now."
This is Incredible Hulk: Bruce can't catch a break.
I want you. Do you know how that would make you feel? There's only one way to make you feel. We're not.
Poor Bruce. I know. What a great needle drop. This is at his lowest. This is where it is. Didn't get to keep the blanket, and then the lonely.
I gotta say this right now. The joke, we're laughing about this. This is horrible. When you see him, so the camera pans, right? We establishing shot. We're in this other, this other
by the
town.
Way, still in Rio.
It's still in Rio, right?
I would say this was all shot in Rio, so
right? A different location, so it doesn't look as so compacted along the hilltops. But you go to this cobblestone. It's clearly this old road, and we see Bruce, and he's walking. He's still clutching his pants, trying to keep the rags around him.
Yep, still.
And you can see how his feet. It hurts with every step.
Yeah.
This is ridiculously sorrowful. I mean, this is a horrible experience. If you could think of anybody actually going through this, how could you carry on? How could you continue to take another step?
Yeah.
So, and then we have this great moment where, okay, we talked about nostalgia before in the few other minutes.
Yeah.
The Lonely Man theme kicks in.
Yeah. And so the Lonely Man was used predominantly as the closing music for the Incredible Hulk television series from the late 70s. But then I wanted to see, like, was it the opening too? And it's in both. But at the top, they play another theme on top of it for the opening thing. And that's the more like, I mean, like, it plays like the more intense stuff and then plays Lonely Man at the same time. So I think I think he was going for the dual, like the Hulk banner, like to do the dual nature thing.
And always the walking, because
always the walking. Yeah,
well, and I mean, clearly,
so it always ended with what we hear here, and it was at the end of every episode was Bruce, like, basically having, torn up a town, almost gotten caught, and then like making his way out of town, Lonely Man, like always by himself.
So we've talked about the Lonely Man theme. You've heard it just now. I thought we'd go a little bit into a deep dive on this. This is a composition written by Joe Harnell. Was alive from 1924. He died in 2005.
Rest in peace.
Yep, absolutely. American composer. He was an arranger. He was a pianist. One of his things he's well known for, and this is going back to like 1950s, 56 to 63. He was on the Dinah Shore Chevy show. Okay. Dinah Shore was a variety show.
Yeah, when companies could just flat out buy entertainment shows.
Exactly, right. so this was the tagline and everything was bought. No commercials, just we own the show.
Right, and then probably a Chevy would come through at some point.
Right. So he was well known for that, and then in about mid-60s he started working with Gray Advertising as a jingle writer. He worked on another talk show called The Mike Douglas Show in the 70s. He moves to Hollywood in 73, and he works in film score and television composition. So in addition to The Incredible Hulk, he worked on The Bionic Woman.
Okay.
He worked on Alien Nation, and one of my favorite cultural phenomenon shows of the early 80s, V.
Oh, yes. I watched all those shows. I remember V was a huge thing.
V was a massive...
Yeah.
And they tried to revive it,
they did.
What, about, I want to say 10 years ago?
Yeah,
10 years ago?
10 years ago, somewhere in the mid-2000s.
But the original, if you were a child of the 80s,
yes,
that show was mind-blowing.
Yeah, that was event television.
Oh, like,
every one of our generation watched that.
And their sound, and I can remember the theme,
yeah, there's still visuals, I remember. I mean,
the visuals and the music, I totally remember. So he's responsible for all that. And then he also wrote the signature tune introducing United Artists movies in the 1980s. He did the theme music for an NBC soap opera called Santa Barbara. He became a faculty member at USC's Thornton School of Music. What a life.
Yeah.
I mean, this guy.
If you're a composer, you're lucky you get one.
Yes.
Like that. Maybe like he got to do the music for Bionic Woman. That would be it. That's all you do. But the fact that he was doing this high profile stuff again and again and again shows his not his tenacity but his talent.
I mean, I got to tell you, like, I love one of the things I absolutely love about this podcast. I love what we do is to deep dive into stories like this of people because an 81-year life that was so doing what he loved. And fully the contributions that I know touch us because, we're fans of this stuff.
Right.
What an awesome, awesome story. The fruit does not fall far from the tree. His son, Jess Harnell, as a voice actor, he's best known as the voice of, what was it, Wacko Warner?
Yeah, he's Wacko.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
How cool is that?
That's so cool. It's so serendipitous, too, because I just finished reading Rob Paulson's book, and Rob Paulson is Yakko Warner. So he talks about Jess a lot in the book
that's
because
funny.
The three of them, together, like the Yakko, Wacko, and Dot, they're like really good friends from when they did the show together. And he always talks about Jess as a musician.
Isn't that funny?
Yeah.
There you go. So that's
now I understand why.
And we're talking about
penny drops.
These characters are from a Steven Spielberg produced animated series called Animaniacs,
and actually this year are coming back.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Brand new episodes with Jess Harnell and Rob Paulson and Tress MacNeille. They're all coming back as
every time you see that and hear that connection to the Incredible Hulk and the Lonely Man theme, which is amazing. Yeah. And then his grandson, Jeremy, he works as a composer and a visual artist under the name J.C. Harnell.
Hey,
if anyone knows either of them, we would love to talk with them because one, find out what they're doing, and Joe is such a huge part of this, such a huge part of the Incredible Hulk
legacy. Because for anyone who watched that show, everyone knows that music. Just watch any season of Family Guy, and they make jokes about they play the Lonely Man theme.
Yes,
I mean it's a huge
that's not going away. That's going to be a thing, man.
Right.
Like that's just great. Well, anyway, just awesome work, and props to to Joe because this is a great part of this character and this character story.
That's really cool. So we get Bruce down as destitute as he can be. He actually now has to beg on the street. And on the one hand, this is like, once again, how low can you go? This brilliant scientist, one of the smart, probably in the MCU, I mean, in the Marvel universe, like the 616, he is one of the top 5 smartest people in the planet.
His face is in classrooms on the wall.
Everybody knows. And here he is, like, on the streets of Mexico having to beg for pesos.
And this is, look at the scene.
I get what they're doing here, but at the same time, he's still, like, one of the smartest people in the world. Like, really? He couldn't think of anything to do to get money besides begging?
Okay, so here's my point on this.
Yeah, this is like
so the scene is that
armchair filmmaker.
We pan to like this basically a farmer's market.
Yeah.
And of course bananas are right there.
Of course. Yeah.
And he is just in his you can see his legs showing through.
Totally ripped.
He is just collapsed on the side of the road. You can see his feet are beaten up, and his head is down, and his arms are just on his knees. And his hands are just out, like, please help me.
Yeah.
And there's this, small child looks at him sort of like, whoa, look at this guy.
Ugh.
I think this is, look, if you've been through what he's been through, this is where you did have a moment here where you gave up. Because and we've learned from this from the first 30 minutes, well, he can't do himself in.
No,
he knows
that's right.
that.
Yeah, he can't. Yeah, that's right.
There is nothing more to do. And maybe for just this moment, it hits rock bottom, and he's like, there's nothing else I know what to do.
Yeah.
So
I mean, he's relying on the kindness of strangers.
It's really sad.
It's really sad. So, but let's not leave this episode about that.
Wait, is that where the minute ends?
That's where the minute ends. Is him on the street begging for things. But before we get on, there's actually something else we can talk about before we move on.
Thank goodness.
So there actually is a deleted scene that would fit right approximately in here, somewhere in these minutes or so.
Once again, this movie has the most deleted scenes.
It does.
Ever.
It has a lot. Apparently, in doing my research, there's almost 70 minutes of deleted scenes, and not all those have been available. Wow. Like they're out there, but so there was apparently a lot of back conversations about it. I even just heard a recent interview with Louis, and he talked about there was the movie he wanted to make, the movie that Edward Norton wanted to make, and the movie that Marvel wanted to make, and then they realized they weren't the same movie. And so, so there was multiple versions going on, and that's why I think none of them have all worked together again after that, because they apparently didn't see quite eye to eye on what kind of movie it should be. So there's a lot of deleted scenes, and one of the deleted scenes is this one. You can find it on the Hulk Blu-ray, or if you buy it on iTunes, I believe it's in their deleted scenes sections, or I believe it's on YouTube as well. If you search for Incredible Hulk General Greller, you'll find it, and it's a fairly long scene.
Yeah, this is
actually. I guess it would be fit in here right before they land, because it's about the flight out.
Right. So the plane is left from their incident in Brazil. Right. With the Incredible Hulk.
Yeah, it's Blonsky and Ross. Basically, it's like what happened to them. So it's like them playing out. So as the camera pans up, we find out something we'd never find out in the course of this movie is the fate of the commando squad. Oh. So as the camera pans up, we see 3 body bags. Yikes. So 3 of the commandos did not make it out. And as the camera comes out, so we see 2 stretchers, and there are 2 commandos there who are receiving medical attention. So rest in peace for those 3 guys who the Hulk apparently killed. And maybe that's one of the reasons this scene was deleted, is because they didn't want to show the Hulk being a flat-out murderer.
Well, no, that's what it does.
Yeah,
that's part of it.
Right. So I'm not sure what I guess for the 3, I guess it would be the 3 that get sort of mauled over by the tank that he shoves there. There's 3 there, and the other 2 he was sort of shaking. So maybe those are the ones who survived. I don't know.
Yeah.
But and then of course there's the 2, and then as it ends up, then there's Blonsky, totally fine, sitting next to these guys. So
because he was in the high ground,
right? He had the high ground, as we've learned. Always find the high ground.
That's where you want to be.
But then there's a lot of exposition that happens here. So Major Spar basically has this technical speak, and then gets cut out of the movie.
And she's the one that we saw earlier in the
she's
right.
She's Ross's. She's been in the whole thing. She just hasn't had a lot of lines. So she's Ross's right hand. She's the one who says, "Oh, well, there was an incident in Milwaukee."
Right.
And she'll have more to do. But so she's doing a lot of exposition about the computer. So basically, what she's saying is, I don't have to read the whole line too, but is that they can't trace what he was doing. Like they say that he was really smart in terms of getting to tap into multiple cellular networks, so they can't trace where his emails emails were going to, or where the other side of the two-way communication
was. He was really big on VPN before VPN was a thing.
That's right. That's exactly right. And also, moving from places so they wouldn't, for his signal, so it would be different. So they can't figure out what he was sending, or they can't figure out where the stuff was going, or what was coming back to him. And so this, of course, makes Ross extremely frustrated and stuff. What they do figure out, though, from the notes that are on the computer is that Bruce is trying to cure himself. He's trying to kill the Hulk. Like, he's trying to cure it. And so Ross says he wants to get rid of it as sort of like an aha moment. Ross has a big moment about like what he wants. And I'd say I've never seen William Hurt at 10, and this is William Hurt at 10, and he says, I don't want Banner, I want what's inside of him. But that's not how he delivers it. I don't want Banner, I want what's inside of him.
I know there's a couple other podcasts.
He goes full on to the top.
Yeah, Kevin Smith does a podcast, The Hollywood Babylon, and they always have their little segment about overacting, right? Where you overact.
Yeah.
This is one of those moments. He so overacts it that you just go, dude.
And the scene is edited, so that's the take they wanted. So I mean, there had to have been multiple ones that he had done.
Well, but what it's speaking to is okay. So what's the part of this in the plot that we missed? Once he realizes he's trying to kill the Hulk.
Yeah.
Well, now he's flipped out because not only has he eluded him, not only has he lost credibility, money, resources, men.
Yeah.
The one thing that will only make this worth it is if he gets what's inside of him.
Right, because he, like you said, he doesn't want Bruce.
Right. So now
Hulk.
this has gotten to the realization where he went, this is a race.
Yeah.
I'm losing.
Yeah.
If he kills it before I get to it, I'm done.
Yeah. All for nothing.
Well, then he flips out.
So he says, and they say something, there's something, Spar tries to sort of say all is not lost. Like, there's some things we can do. And he says, what will he do? He's already on the move. But I only say that because for some reason you don't get to see subtitles in YouTube, but YouTube tries its best. So when that line came up, it translated, what will that do? He's already on the move to, Bernardo, he's already in the mouth. So thanks, YouTube Translate. You tried. You tried hard. But I have no idea where Bernardo came from.
Put that down.
Literally, like very Shakespearean. Bernardo.
All right. Now, during the scene, we kind of get these interspersed shots of Blonsky.
The scene is still not over.
No, we're only like middle to the scene. So they're still on the plane. They're having this conversation. But as Ross is losing it, it shows a shot of Blonsky just looking at him.
Yeah. Taking it all in.
Well, and he's taking it all in, and here's what's written on Tim Roth's face in this is.
Yeah.
Oh, you want what's in him? I want what's in him. Because I want that.
Yeah.
You really, if there was one thing that I think
they do, and basically they don't have any dialogue together in that one.
No,
but they share a look.
Oh no!
It tells you so much.
Well, you almost even get the idea that when you put it in that perspective, when we just made fun of William Hurt's overacting.
Yeah.
No, I actually think he's overacting to drive it home to Blonsky.
Okay, more of the.
I want you all in on this because we could maybe do something to you that will help you help me because I don't care about you.
Right.
I just want what's in Bruce.
Yeah.
I think it's it's a nuanced scene that. Yeah.
So the scene transitions to the base, and they basically have to face General Greller.
This is Sparta!
That's such a...
Into the pit he goes. Yeah. So he's having to explain sort of what happened, sort of recap the mission and stuff too. And
why did we lose 3 guys, and why did I just spend $10 million?
Right. And Greller says... that's one hell of a white whale story. So like have a very
so this is where thing. So it's implied this is where he's told him Banner is this actual creature that happens.
Yeah, and that killed 3 of the guys and put 2 in critical condition.
And he's like, "You're full."
Yeah, and he actually, well, yeah. So like, you said you were going after a scientist, not a monster. Yeah. We probably would have chose a different loadout if we'd have known that.
Or I would never have signed off on this to begin with.
Yeah, and so then he basically says, Blonsky can verify all this stuff, which is sort of like, you're gonna bring your subordinate into like if he's following orders, then of course he's gonna say everything he just said. But
I don't think this is a big deal.
So Ross goes to the door, opens it up, sort of signals to Blonsky. Blonsky gets up and walks in, and I mentioned that because that exact scene, that 3 seconds, is going to show up in the movie later on. So we'll
just
talk
cut
about
within
what
a different
in different contexts,
situation.
but like that scene.
Right.
So then Blonsky goes in, sits down, and basically does his own version, tells the story. But one of the things he said that was interesting, he says it was 10 feet tall, 1,500 pounds, green or gray. He kind of makes a big joke about green or gray. Well, that's a comic book Easter egg homage because the original Hulk comic, he was gray in it. When he first showed up, he was gray. And actually, to their credit, they say that there was a comic book series written by Jeff Loeb called Hulk Gray, which they say was one of the things that was inspired them when they were making this movie. Oh. So they talk, and so that comic book takes place over the first couple of days when the Hulk first shows up, and he's gray, and then later on he became green. See, and then there's a big conversation about metals, which is like okay, it was sort of like establishing Blonsky's bona fides as a tough guy badass. Okay, well, we get it. That didn't need to be any there. But the one thing that's interesting is when Greller seems like he's going to shut them down, Ross says something very interesting to sort of get him back on his side, and he says, we don't know what Banner's intentions are. We don't want this technology falling into the wrong hands. I thought those two interesting choices of phrases to be like, oh, yeah, we don't want the Russians getting the Hulk. Like, oh, okay, well then, here's a blank check. Basically, like Greller gets on their side. Like, whatever you need, then you can have because we don't want this getting into the wrong hands.
Always the fear, the throwback fear.
Yeah, but it works, One of the other things that they mention is that a Easter egg or a thread that was never really developed after this movie that should have been, because Greller mentions this as part of one of Ross's experiments.
Wait, one of?
One, like, yeah, that he was doing something else. Let me see if I have the line. Another one of your super soldier experiments has gone haywire. Is there anything that came out of that program that didn't turn into a mess?
Hold on.
Whoa, right?
What do you mean?
Yeah. So there was other things before the Hulk or after the Hulk? Like what else? Like, because if Banner was working on one thing, who were the other people working on stuff? And something else got out? Something like, where was that? Where's that story?
That's not been confirmed or denied. Like, that's not.
No, they've never followed up on that at all.
Since it's not in the movie, it's not.
No, it's not, and to my knowledge, Andy hates it when I talk about the future, but the future of the in the later MCU, I don't remember Ross being attached to anything else until he shows up in Captain America: Civil War.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, maybe I see. Maybe there's in the comics, like there are some tie-in comics that I'm trying to track down now because a lot of them are out of print. But
yeah,
maybe
that really.
It's
that's interesting.
But they sort of put that out there, sort of like there's some nice story threads they could follow up on, but they never really went anywhere with that.
Maybe that was, maybe that's part of the reason why it was cut for a lot of different reasons.
Could
but
be.
One of them could be is just that, okay, yeah, we don't have a plan for what that line means, or the what we intended is not going to go. I don't know. They didn't know if it was going to go anywhere, but yeah, we don't need to seed that. That's not something that we're not planting the seed on because who knows?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Anyway,
That's a great note.
It's worth checking out. I mean, if you've been listening along this far, I would definitely recommend going and checking it out just kind of to see what an alternate cut would have looked like.
Because it is completely finished.
Oh yeah, it's cut. I mean, like it's not fully edited. They had some. It looked like they had some sound work they still need to do because it looked like it was wild sound. But other than that, it was a sequence that was in the movie. It looks like until very, very late that they cut out. It ends with the general saying, "Put together a list, but be prepared to explain everything on it." So, and that's how the scene ends. So that was the deleted scene. So there's some stuff in there that I think would have been nice if we'd have known plot-wise, but it's a long scene that goes on, and for the pacing they're going for, I think it was a good choice that they cut it. Anyways, if you want to talk about this deleted scenes or other deleted scenes from other movies that might have changed the course of the movie, you can do so over on Discord. Hey. Yes, that's right. We have our own Discord chat room, and it's pretty active too. You can head over to thenextreel.com, and there's a link that you can join us in it. We have multiple channels set up, and now we have our own channel for talking about the Hulk. So if you want to come over and complain about how we keep going on and on about deleted scenes when they're not part of the movie proper, you can do so over at our Discord chat room.
Yeah, let us know.
We're happy to take your criticism.
We want this to be about you.
Right. So thank you all for listening. We hope you had a smashing good time. Until next time, true believers.
Bye.